onwards towards the next act we go. Oh no, the crafting recipe. Cool. Stun and curse mitigation rank 1. I don't think I've ever enchanted that on a piece of gear. It's nice to add it to the library. Yeesh, those were some nasty horrors from beyond.
I must have time to gather my will.
And a few zombies, of course.
Captain Tavares, altitude is imperative to forging a stable connection with the Prime Resonator in Theopolis. Power source is equally vital. Locate a fissure in the mountainside and lower a conductive cable into it. The deeper, the better. It will take an immense amount of thaumaturgical energy to execute the successful disintegration and transmission of objects, both inanimate and animate, between Highgate and Theopolis. For that kind of power, we must tap the origin. I needn't remind you of the consequences should either of those elements prove deficient. That is why I would like you, Tavares, to be the first to test the resonator once it is operational. Accountability is a perfect counterweight to ambition.
Wow. He's got to take the teleporter first. That'll make sure it works. And work it does.
Marks judgment for those of hollow faith.
I kind of like fighting my way through the prison block, to be honest. I think it's a cool little map. Can't really explain why.
I must have time to gather my will.
Can always use more chromatic orbs. I think this is the right path. Let's just lead around the corner into a boss, and then we get the town, I believe. Yep, here we go. Boom.
Your hateful scorn has no place in God's land.
And the survivors throw down a ladder. Which is a cool way to get a loading screen. Right, well I think I've been streaming this for like another 3 or 4 hours, and if you add that to the 6 hours of Dark Souls I streamed earlier, we've been streaming for 10 whole hours today. So I think it's time I get a break. And maybe some sleep. But I hope everyone's still having a lot of fun, and yeah, I'd like to finish just getting into an act before the stream finishes, so this worked out good. We're on part 1, act 5, and it's awesome. I love me some Path of Exile. I just wish I was better at it. Alright, so there's, you know, the follow button and stuff. You guys know the buttons. I don't need to say them all, surely. But thumbs up, goodbye, and see you tomorrow for either more Dark Souls if you're on in the morning, or more Path of Exile if you're on in the evening. Or both? Or neither? Yeah, I think it's going pretty damn good. For sure. We'll just have to see where I get to next. And if the build works after I get to the ascendancy points. Oh god, I hope the build works. Bye-bye. Alright, hopefully we should be live. And I managed to miss yesterday's stream. Had an extra long weekend. And then I think today as well, we've missed like the main bulk of stream time, which I would have been doing Monster Hunter World in. So I thought I'd start with my evening game that I haven't managed to play at all recently, and we'll just go from there. See how things happen.
Templar murders Templar. Not a pretty sight. But it was enough to get this sorry lot up and fighting. The Tormented One promised us a sign. You're not quite what I expected, but then, who am I to argue with Kitava, the immortal slave? He speaks through you, Templar. He tells us that we shall be free. Utsula Makora is what they call me, and I have the miserable task of being chief to this lot. Well, I put the steel in their hands. I tell them where to stab, where to run, where to die. If that doesn't make me a chief, what does, eh? Blood isn't the only currency we need to earn to buy our freedom. We can kill all the Templar mongrels we like out there. It won't matter a damn if we don't get inside their stronghold, the Templar courts. Might as well put my bloody chains back on right now. Problem is, there's some sort of witchery surrounding the place. Only those who see the truth with faithful eyes are getting in there. The power of innocence. It's all in the eyes, you see. Yet blessed Kitava has answered my prayers and sent us just the pair of eyes we need. The ever-faithful Justicar Casticus. He's there in the control blocks right now, smiting my people with self-righteous fury. Find him and rip his faithful eyes out. Then I'm sure the good Justicar will be kind enough to see you into the Templar courts.
Awful stuff. We're going to be taking eyes, like in some films. I do believe the even one of the Avenger films is that one of the Marvel films.
Take a deep breath. Inhale the twin stink of exploitation and oppression. Yes, these pens and cells have been our home away from home since the first Karui were brought here by Marseus Lioneye, their great hero of the Empire. One of the best slavers they ever had. Not that he was the only one. Captain Sigmund Fairgraves funded many an expedition of the whipped backs of Karui children. High Templar Dominus was only the latest in a long line of men to grow rich by trading in misery. Oriathan wealth was built on Karui poverty. Oriathan gold will forever be stained red by Karui blood. Overseer's Tower, this place is called. And you know the worst thing about the men who stood here, watching us, cursing us, descending to whip and kick us like curs? They were slaves, like us, willing to turn on their brethren for a bigger cage and a few extra rations. I can't quite put into words what a pleasure it was to take this tower, to rip the greedy eyes from those traitors. Did they see it coming? I hope so.
This guy's all in on eyes.
Well, I know his other names. The Black Spirit, the Cannibal King, the Ravenous One. He was all of those things before Tsukuhama slashed out his eyes, before Valakor drowned him in the sea, before Hinekora whipped him and condemned him to immortal darkness. Kitava has learned from the suffering inflicted upon him. learned what cruelty is from his own flesh and blood, learned what it means to be a slave. Now he hungers for freedom, not merely for himself, for all of us who have suffered under whip and shackle. Kitava is the tormented one, destined to rise up from the darkness and banish cruelty from this world, and we, his children, rise with him. Old Red Eyes. He's been quiet for a long time, just like Kitava and Tsukohama, all of the old gods. Now Innocence has woken up, and with him, power like I've never seen the Templar wield before. It's all right though. We slaves, we've got our own god looking out for us now. I can see him in the eyes of my brothers and sisters, smell him in the blood we've spilled, hear his call in the screams of the fallen. I don't rightly know where the gods have been or what's brought them crawling back, nor do I really care. All I need to know, my friend, is that we're not alone anymore.
It's probably because I killed the belly of the beast and, you know, his name begins with M. I've forgotten. Malachi? Yep, Malachi.
There's two parts to the Templar, the grim face and the spotty ass. Out front you've got the Templar courts, usually the last place our Hatungos see if they're stupid enough to preach their craft within a Templar's hearing. Oriath's woodmongers must do a roaring trade with that place. When the wind blows right, you can even smell the aroma of barbecued blasphemer from here. The arse end, that's the Chamber of Innocence. It's where the real earnest believing gets done, where the young Templar go to pay their respects to God Almighty and get the good sense baptized out of their heads. I've not seen the inside of the chamber myself, but you can feel it from over a block away. Like there's an eye in your gut, peering through your insides, looking for even the tiniest stain of sin. I tell you, sane people go in one end of that place, ash and apostles come out the other. Watch yourself in there. With Dominus away at Rayclast, someone had to keep the wheels of oppression turning. Avarius was only too happy to take the job. He'd had plenty of practice already, of course. It was Avarius who led some of the largest and most crippling raids upon the Ngāmakanui and the Ngākura McCoy. It was on his orders that men, women and children were shackled and shipped like cattle to Theopolis. And it was Avarius who spent 5,000 Karui lives building his Templar courts and his Chamber of Innocence. Who had wives and daughters scrub their husbands' and fathers' blood from the stones so as to preserve their purity. When you meet Avarius, feel free to exact a little extra vengeance in the name of Karui's suffering.
So we are going to take out some slavers. And obviously those are bad people, but the way they're going to have us do it is kind of grim and awful and evil in itself. Sell that because we don't need it, and I'm not a club guy either, so that's going to go.
Talakura,
Could
savior.
definitely afford to store some of this other rubbish.
An exile returned. How was that even possible? And a Templar at that. Striding out of the sunlight to lay waste to our enemies, like Ramako in the stories my mother used to tell me. Well, your divine intervention gave us just the diversion we needed to take this tower. So if you keep doing things like that, then I might have to start believing in the gods again. And thank you for finishing off that last overseer for us. I don't know what sort of mother could have birthed that land-loving whale, but we were lucky he wasn't here when we took this tower. he'd have spread us across the floor like butter on a piece of bread. Here, take something for helping us in this hopeless fight of ours.
Alright, cool. I don't know what the most likely culprit for me to upgrade is, but let's say cold and fire. Yeah. Here we are. It's probably going to turn out to be nothing. Wow. That's actually good. 13% fire, 27% total combined coals, and 11% lightning. Yes. We'll bring up this little chart here. Wow, should have gone with a more fires focused one. Yep. Never mind. I did okay.
Freedom comes to those who fight. We'd been planning it for months, spreading the word, stealing weapons, gathering support. Utula and his followers did most of the dirty work. I just carried a few messages here and there. Should have known I'd end up like this when the real fighting started. In the darkest hour before dawn, that's when we broke our chains. And as many overseer necks as we could wrap our hands around. We took the Panopticon as the sun rose over Theopolis, and that's as far as we got. When you're up against cold steel and colder hearts, there's only so far that anger will take you. Few of us can say that we've devoted our lives to anything greater than ourselves. Can you? I think Utula can. Since the day I met him, I've seen Utula do nothing that wasn't in the service of his people. He's a smart one. He could have escaped. He could have sailed off to Namakanui and never looked back. Yet there he stands, our herald of freedom. I might die of this wound, yet I'd be giving but a fraction of what Utula has to honor the Karui way.
Don't get too attached to him, though.
Remember, we do this for freedom.
Unlike these assorted ignorami, I'm not surprised to see you here. The beast is dead, all thanks to you, I suppose. I was listening to the beast's death rattles when these lunatics broke in, wrecked the place, and dragged me here to tend to their cuts and bruises. Thankfully, I was able to bring some of my paraphernalia with me. The balance of power is shifting in your favor, O murderer of nightmares.
Hello, the wise spot.
If I am in possession of anything that might smooth the transition of governance, don't hesitate to ask. You'll find my terms quite reasonable.
Yeah,
Some time ago, I fabricated a device able to sense and amplify the corrupt murmurings of Rayclast, a miasmeter. I listened to those whispers for years, lingering beyond sane comprehension. And then the scream. Such profound agony that my mind was nearly sundered by its percussion. I thought another cataclysm might be upon us. But no, it was you, slaying the beast. I was witness to a singularly potent cadence. This corruption, I am convinced that it holds the very key to our human history, and with it, our very existence. Yet without the miasmeter, I'm condemned to deafened ignorance.
Yep.
It remains in Piety's laboratory, as long as Utula's miscreants haven't vandalized the poor thing. Find it.
Hey, she's done. Right, so yesterday I ended up taking off because I stayed up too late on Sunday trying to get things done for like the YouTube channel, and then I woke up late the next day and I was like, oh well, 3-day weekend, no problem. But then I woke up late again this day. I'm like, oh no, not 2 days of late. So here I am with a little bit of a scuffed voice, but overall, getting things uploaded on the YouTube, and there was 19 hours of people around the globe watching my YouTube channel like yesterday, and then 16 hours today, and it's been awesome. People are actually watching the YouTube channel. I don't know why, I didn't really change anything, but that was so good. And then I was like, well, I don't want to not play any video games at all. But it's a bit too late for Monster Hunter in case people want to catch Monster Hunter at the regular times. So I'll play my evening game, but I'll be playing it like a couple of hours earlier. And I haven't even managed to get to play any of this recently. So even this has been kind of disappeared off while I was... I think I was playing a bit of the Rising with Serpentax. So, yeah, we figured something out. I got to play something, at least. Yeah, I've been using some AI as well. I finally got in on the AI train to try and make like a cool avatar-looking thing for my channel, because I haven't really changed the... Like, I haven't really changed any of the logo or the branding on my channel since 2011. So I've been looking into maybe using AI to do a bit of artwork rather than the artwork bots that also use AI to do the artwork but then try and sell it to you. I've been trying to get it done for free because I am a smart customer.
In contrast to the company she keeps, Lani has quite an astute mind. I put it down to that Oriathan education she's managed somehow to procure. Whilst quelling whatever resistance you might meet in this noble coup of yours, you'd be well advised to look to Lani for counsel. She'd make the finest of advisors, second only to myself, of course.
Yeah, I was also looking at the price of like the Elden Ring DLC. They want a lot of money for that DLC. I am going to pay it, of course I am. But, wow, that's like full game price on release day amount of price for the DLC. I hope there's a lot in it.
Utula might appear to conduct himself with honesty and honor, yet has all the telltale signs of a desperate man born of desperate times. As the cornered animal will bite and claw, the cornered man will lie, steal, and murder in the name of survival. It's understandable, and deadly if underestimated.
Like, I think I'm basically paying the same price for the Elden Ring DLC that I did for the Ghost of Tsushima. And I don't know, I don't want to compare them at all. I don't want to compare the amount of content that we get. Just price to price. I'm going to pay this much for this and this much for that. It's interesting to pay the same amount of money for a DLC for a game as you do for a full game. Yeah. I don't like to spend £70 or anything like that, but 35 is still quite hefty. Normally I wait for things to be in the £7 bargain bin. I think I brought like The Witcher 3 Game of the Year Super Mega Ultra Gold Edition for like £7.50. I was very happy with that. I haven't played it yet, but I just didn't want to pay the big monies for anything. Oh, someone soloed the Delve game mode up to depth 1700. That's ridiculous.
I can't really fault Justicar Casticus, a man committed heart and soul to upholding the law. Of course, law isn't the same thing as justice, and men like Casticus lack the imagination necessary to make that distinction.
Oh, but yeah, Friday was brutal for Twitch. Like, I looked at how many people were watching in the last few hours, and after you left, it was just me talking to myself, playing Monster Hunter. I was having fun. Monster Hunter's great, but, like, nobody was watching. I think maybe I picked the wrong game with Monster Hunter, and nobody wants to see that. Oh, well. As long as I'm having fun, it's fine.
Avarius, innocence. I'm not sure there's a great deal of difference. Around the time I heard the beast's mortal scream, the newly appointed High Templar Avarius went through something of a revelation. The manner in which he speaks and acts now would indicate that he believes, without doubt, that he is some earthly embodiment of God. That's faith for you. It'll reduce grown men to the madness of infancy.
It's Sly Hippo. There he is. Now, right up until the last minute, I was planning to play some Monster Hunter World instead of this. Which also then explains why I'm in the wrong category on Twitch. I've just thought about it. But yeah, oops. No, this is Path of Exile. I'm in the wrong category. I think there is, like, I left a command with Moobot so that you can change the category, and I think it's like !game space name of game. But you know, seeing as you guys are here and you're not missing anything, maybe we'll swap over to Monster Hunter. Oh, that's all right. But there's also a lot of story for an action RPG, so you know, let's do it. Let's play the game from the right category rather than this game. Seeing as you're both here. Now, hopefully this won't explode everything.